to manning at Station 2 of 5 and to Station 1 at 4 on a daily basis, 9 people. We suggested that there be 3 additional full-time firefighter medics hired at that time. And also at the same time, we suggested that there be an effort to recruit an additional 15 part-time paramedics that would have brought them back up to their staffing of, what year, 1998. But we haven't hired any more full-time people, and we've actually gone backwards in part-timers. We also asked for a minimum manning of 6 on duty at all times. Never could go below 6. But for some reason, you on the board crawl under the table and cringe when you mention the word minimum manning. I don't understand that. You've got to set an acceptable minimum that you can operate with. 6 is not good, but it's better than 2, 3, 4, or 5 that we have seen across the board for several years now. I know the chief has implemented some things for mandatory overtime. He's offering overtime. He's doing what he can do to try to get more people into the stations. But we're still working short on a regular basis. And what you cannot achieve any success in this department until you add manpower. It's just an absolute mandatory thing. This department, the size of this department, running the number of runs that we're running right now, should minimally be staffing at 6 and 6. 6 at 2, 6 at 1, every day. And that's where we should be. But obviously that's not the commitment that the district has made. Also in the plan, we actually suggested hiring 3 additional full-time paramedics by January of 2009. And manning levels increased to 6 at Station 2 and 5 at Station 1, with minimum staffing then increasing to 8 every day. Once again, that still wouldn't run us at maximum efficiency, but it would be a way of a lot better than where we are. We also asked that when we got to that manning levels at 9 as a daily number, that we needed to think about a shift commander. And I know you're thinking about, what do you call it?
Second in command.
Second in command. I really don't know what that is. You know, if that's going to be an assistant chief, it's going to be a captain, it's going to be somebody that, I really don't know if it's going to be a 40-hour-a-week job or it's going to be a shift job, so I can't really relate to that. But once you get your staffing up to a level that is sufficient, then you need an administrative person to oversee the shifts and to make sure that the staffing takes place on a daily basis and to make sure that we maintain the levels that whatever it is that you want to establish. We had at one time, we were running on $2 million and we were going to get another $340,000 out of the tax that was passed and collected a year or so ago. And we projected then a budget of $2,340,000. And we were told we were nuts, that it wasn't going to be near that. And yet it was $2,440,000. You were actually $100,000 higher than what we projected. We were told we didn't know what we were talking about. And I told you at the time we did this, we were very conservative. We didn't try to pin it down to the nickels, but you beat my projection by $100,000. And everything that I talk about in here could be done with $2,340,000. We don't need. So that just means you got another $100,000 to chuck into whatever you want to chuck it into, because you can meet the requirements of the department for a whole lot less than $2,440,000. The district is not here to bank the citizens' money. You're not a depository for my taxes. The district is here to take those taxes and to spend my money to provide me and my family and everybody else's family in here with the highest quality fire EMS services that you can possibly provide for $2,440,000 plus EMS revenue. We haven't touched EMS revenue, don't forget that. That $2,440,000 doesn't even include the EMS revenue that's being collected for billing people for squad calls. So that's just more money on top of everything that we're talking about here. We just spent over $1 million for 2 fire engines and 2 squads and a chase truck. Over $1 million, people. Now, it's nice that you can just sit down and write a check for $1 million or over $1 million. But we talked to you about purchasing equipment on state purchase program and paying it out over the squads. We projected them out over 3 years. Engines we projected out over a little bit longer. Bottom line, for about $100,000, you could have bought that same equipment on a government purchase plan and kept $900,000 in your jeans. And you could have used that $900,000 to put into staffing, to put into training, wherever you want to put it. Personally, I can see it going into full-time and part-time firefighters. That's a lot of money. But no, for some reason we've got this mentality, we have to pay cash for everything. And that is absolutely absurd. If the fire departments in this state could walk out and write checks for over $1 million in 12 months, there's just not many that can do that. I don't think any of us went out and wrote a check for $300,000 when we bought our houses. This is a society that has to manage its money a little bit more carefully and to be able to provide more that the people really need. Now, you want to talk about buying engines, and I know I can have people argue this to the day they're blue in the face, but we could have taken $350,000 and spent it on the engines we had and put them into top shape, and we wouldn't have to spend $1 million. You take $100,000 and put it in each one of those engines we have. You could refurb pumps, you could refurb motors, you could do plumbing, you could do electrical, you could paint them. And you would have a frontline, top quality engine. It's nice to drive up and down the streets in a brand new fire truck. I loved it. It's great. But what we're talking about here is what is more important. Is it more important to have brand new shiny vehicles, or is it more important to have somebody to put their butts in the seats in those vehicles and provide the highest level of fire and EMS staffing that you can possibly provide? I would rather see people and butts in the seats than to see a brand new shiny new fire truck.